Hi guys, my name is Amy from Ozark Living. Today we're going to talk about our Alaska cruise that we went on in fall of 2023. My top 10 questions that I get asked on a weekly basis. So question number one was, which cruise line did you pick and why? Previously, before this, we had been on Carnival Cruise 2 times. This one we decided to go with Royal Caribbean. We were on Ovation of the Seas. It's a big ship. It was renovated not too long ago. I always make sure and look at that on a cruise ship. We're planning our next cruise right now, and you want to kind of make sure, like, how old is this ship? When was it renovated? If it's fairly new, then it probably didn't need a renovation yet. But if it's like 20 years old, you're going to definitely want to have made sure you go on one that's been currently renovated in the last 5 years, just so it has more of the activities and it's, nicer and a better quality. But we did go with Royal Caribbean, Ovation of the Seas. And it was really a nice ship. It was clean, it was pretty, it was big, had lots of cool things on it. I do not regret going with Royal Caribbean. In fact, now it's kind of made me like Royal Caribbean line better than Carnival Cruise. The next cruise we're going on is a Royal Caribbean cruise. Number 2, are the rooms small? Every ship we've been on, we have done interior rooms. Why? Because we're cheap. 2, my husband loves to sleep in like pitch black darkness. So for us, the interior room is not an issue. I feel like if we had mobility issues or we were claustrophobic, then we would definitely need a balcony room. None of that applies to us, so we feel like we can save money, do the interior, spend that money elsewhere on great excursions or whatever, and we can just, be in an interior room. Royal Caribbean by far was the biggest interior room we've ever been in. We did the interior room with a virtual window, which I was like, what's that going to be like? It was really amazing. It's like one whole wall in your room where your balcony would be is a screen, and it's going to show exactly what's outside your room at that time. So when we were on it, later in the cruise, you could see wells spouting from your room on that virtual screen. You could see pulling into each port the mountains and the scenery on that screen, just like if you were standing up on deck. So that to me was like still very affordable, and you felt like you had a balcony. So that was like really great. I would absolutely do a virtual window. In fact, the next one we just booked is a virtual window interior room. We're taking my daughter and her friend for the summer, and they got one as well. I don't feel the need to get a balcony. I would definitely go with an interior if it's not an issue. Number 3, did it take forever the port? Before, we've been to Galveston, we've been to Port Canaveral. This was our first time in Seattle. Seattle port, super quick. We took a shuttle from our hotel. We got over there. We got off the bus. Make sure you go during your scheduled time, and on, cruise day or 45 days before when you can register, it's going to tell you, what time you want to get on the boat. We selected 10:30. We had friends with us who did not do it the same day we did, and so we were concerned about that because it's like, we all want to be getting on the boat at the same time. They got the 11 o'clock. We both ran through at 10:45, and there was no issue. Port was fine. We were on that boat in less than 30 minutes from the time we got off of the bus. It was like clockwork. They had it going all through. And I had seen some YouTube reviews that were kind of like nightmarish, so I was a little bit concerned, but it was completely fine. So it was a good port for sure. Number 4 was any airport issues. So this also was our first time flying with Alaskan Air. We booked this trip January 2023 for September of 2023. And we got a great airfare price. We used Alaskan Air. We went straight to their website. We compared it to Travelocity. There was no difference. I think Alaskan Air was a little bit cheaper. So we did book straight through them. No problem at all. Their airplane was big, lots of room for your carry-on bags. Sometimes on American or Delta, I feel like they don't have a lot of the overhead room, and then they're asking you to do a curbside check when you get up there because there's no room left, or they're going to have to, put your bag somewhere, and then you're worried you're not going to be getting it when you get there. But this was no issue. We flew out of Kansas City, so we had a direct flight. I always like to do direct flights. I hate connecting if you can do it at all because it's like less likely to have any issues. So we could fly out of Springfield, but then you're going to have a connecting, and then you're going to have problems. It's maybe not problems getting there, but on the way back. We as well flew in the day before. Never, ever fly in the day of your cruise. You're just asking for too much trouble. I'm not that risky. I always fly in the day before. If I'm driving, I drive in the day before, still stay the night in the hotel. That way you're kind of rested and you can get up and you can go. At what ports did we stop at? We stopped, actually, I'm wrapping my shirt here. Got this off of Etsy. I'll find that lady who did it. So Seattle, Sitka, Skagway, Juneau, Victoria. Seattle, of course, we were there the day before, so we did get to see a little bit of that. We went down to Pike's Place Market. It was kind of, you know, rough. A lot of homeless, dirty. Pike's Place Market was beautiful once it was open, but it was $60 in a taxi to get down there, which was definitely not expecting that. $60 to get back. It was okay. Seattle, we had a day when we got back off of the ship, and that day was pretty fun. Just walking around and seeing the city on, I think it was a Friday that we got back, and so it was busy, and the Pike's Place Market was fully open, and you could see all the stuff. There was people everywhere. When we went in the first night, it was 5:30 when we got down to Pike's Place. Everything was shut down. Homeless had moved in for the night. You know, I get it, but like, that's not what you want to see as a tourist. The city definitely needs to clean that up. It's very dirty down there. Reminded me of San Francisco, and it's very hilly like San Francisco. But that was the first port, or so they consider, because that's where you get on your boat. Second port was Sitka. I had to look at my shirt because I couldn't remember. Sitka, cute little port. It's not very big. We really enjoyed it there. And then we went to Skagway, which was great. Juneau, #1 favorite port of the whole thing. And then Victoria, British Columbia. Probably my least favorite port from getting off the ship. I would say Seattle was my least favorite port, but if I was like after I'd already gotten on the ship, it would definitely be Victoria, British Columbia. Make sure when you are choosing your itinerary, you choose where you want to go. A lot of Alaska cruises are Ketchikan or Sitka. My husband had already been Ketchikan, so we decided to do the Sitka one, and I'm glad it did not disappoint. Every cruise that is like that is going to take you outside of the country, so it's either like Victoria or Vancouver. I would probably pick Vancouver if that was an option this next time, but it wasn't on this one. We were in Victoria the least amount of time. I think it was like 4 hours, so it's not like we did an excursion or had a bunch of things to do. The rest of them, always make sure you pay attention to how long you're off that boat. If they say you can get off at, you know, or the ship gets there at 9, you're probably not getting off till 9:30. And what is great is you pulled right up to all of the docks. There was no like boat you had to get on off of the cruise ship and ferry over. You pulled right up and were able to get off. But the ports were great. I mean, you're in America besides Victoria, and so you don't feel like you're in a foreign country, and you don't feel like, I don't know, it felt really good. And it was so beautiful to see it. Question number 6, how expensive were the excursions? Okay, they were pretty pricey. When we went on our first cruise, Carnival, probably 2019, those excursions were like Cozumel and the Yucatan, and we did some pretty elaborate ones. They were not near as pricey as this. The Bahamas trip we just went on with my daughter, it was a girls trip. We did do Atlantis, and it was a very pricey excursion. But these were definitely more pricey, and I love excursions. I always do an excursion right off the boat on every port. So in Sitka, we did Finn's Island boat tour. It was on a jetty boat, and then they also fed you at their lodge. It was really good. We did the Yukon White Pass Railway. It was pricey, worth every penny. In Juneau, our main one was a whale watching tour. You cannot go to Alaska without going to a whale watching tour.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I cannot believe it's done that 3 times. Maybe it'll do it again. What is happening? Look at that thing go, girl. God is so good. Wow.
Holy.
Look at that thing go. That is amazing. That's all of mine. I'll zoom too. That thing.
Look at
there's one blowing. Look at that thing. Did you see that one?
Yes.
We ended up having a lot more time in Juneau than previously planned because there was a medical emergency, and we got to Juneau, instead of getting there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we got there at 7 a.m. So I was thrilled, not because there was a medical emergency, just because I wanted a whole day in Juneau. That was like the biggest day. I had so much stuff planned for our group, and we were gonna have to hit the ground running and not stop until we were done. So instead of getting there at 1 and only being there till 9 at night, and when they say 9 at night, you have to be back on that boat at 8:30. We got there at 7 a.m. So we got off that boat at 7:30, and we did not get back on that boat till 8:30 at night because we had dinner reservations. And we had a fantastic day, and we did more than just our whale watching tour. We did the tramway, which you wouldn't book until you're there, because if it's cloudy, you're not going to see anything going up the side of that mountain, so there's no point in wasting the money. I believe it was $25 or $30. There was a long line, but it went very quickly. Up at the top, you can hike, you can do all kinds of stuff. We also, what else did we do? Oh, in Juneau, we went to Mendenhall Glacier. They're like state park there. We took a taxi over there. You don't have to pay to have an excursion to do that whatsoever. You just take a taxi. Did the hike to Nugget Falls. We just did so much stuff in Juneau. It was great. Victoria, British Columbia, we did not do an excursion. We had 4 hours. So we got off the boat, and it was like we got there at 4 or 5 o'clock at night and had to be back on the boat by 9. So really 8:30. And we just had to pay $15 a person just to get bussed into town. And then we walked around town. We walked down through their downtown, their Chinatown. We picked a restaurant, ate there, and, you know, picked up a couple souvenirs, got some Canadian money. So again, out of all of those, favorite one was Juneau, followed by Skagway, followed by Sitka, followed by Victoria, British Columbia, and then Seattle being it's just not a clean city. It's kind of rough. How was the food? So, you know, you have like all these cruise people that like say, oh, the food is so fantastic. And I always think, do they not know how to cook, or have they never really ate anywhere very good? Because main dining room food is weird. It is not that great. It's kind of like they've cooked it for the masses, so it's kind of just very bland. The desserts look beautiful, but they don't even taste sweet. They're just very dry, very bland, not what you think you're gonna be getting. But it's still like the experience of it. I pre-booked Jamie Oliver's Italian for that night, and it was really good. It came with like an appetizer, you know, because they say you can get as much as you want, but it's really not true. It came with an appetizer, and it came with your chicken parm or your main entree, and then it also came with a pasta of choice, and then it also came with a dessert. Listen, guys, you are gonna have plenty of food with that. It was a ton of food. I mean, your pasta was like having a main entree, and then plus you had a chicken parmesan, plus you had several appetizers for the table. Number 8, was the ship boring? Absolutely not. We had so many things to do on that ship. We did the fly, which is like where you're doing the like skydiving and the big tube thing. You've got to make sure you pre-book for that to get the free spot, or you're going to be paying for it. Again, you got to pay attention on that day you're getting on that boat and start pre-booking everything you can. We did the North Star that took you 300 feet up in the air, and we did bumper cars, which was so much fun. You could climb a rock wall and you could do the surf. It was cold. We didn't do that, and I didn't want to get hurt. They had, you know, of course, an arcade. We went in the arcade. They had shows that you could go do. We did trivia. We did classic rock trivia, which we won, of course. Great. This is a very relaxing cruise. It is very chill. You are not going to be like trying to get everything you want done. You're going to be chilling, reading a book, relaxing on the side, looking at the whales as you're going by. Number 9, was this cruise expensive? No, it really wasn't. In January of 2023, we decided to book it. We got a virtual interior room for 2 people for $1,700. Then it was like they added in the gratuities, that kind of thing. So it was like $2,200, I think. Our airfare that we also booked at the same time was $340 round trip per person from Kansas City to Seattle. I felt like this cruise was really affordable considering what we got to experience. We had a 7-night cruise, a flight with no connecting flights. We had all those excursions, experienced all that wonderful stuff, and I guarantee you we didn't spend over $4,500 total for 2 people. This is one of my favorite questions I get asked and I got teased about. Is it an old person cruise? Well, I mean, my husband did turn 50.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy
age of a cruiser on an Alaskan cruise is 55. On a normal cruise, the average age is 45. So you've got about a 10-year difference. We felt young on this cruise though. There were a lot of elderly people. That's not a bad thing. What is weird that I never heard before on a cruise was we were laying in bed and it goes alpha, alpha, alpha over the intercom. And we were like, what is that? So I start Googling it, and it is a medical emergency. We had 3 of those on our ship. Luckily, I think all of them were okay, but like one person had fell. I don't know what happened to the other one, and then one had a heart attack. We were forced to miss our glacier on the morning of Juneau day because they had a heart attack the night before and they had to be flight backed out. So they got us to Juneau at 4 a.m. and we were able to get off the boat at 7:30 and be off of that boat in Juneau till 8:30 at night. Now, a lot of people were up in arms about that. You heard complaints all over the boat and on the Facebook chat group. I was actually really happy about it because I wanted a full day in Juneau. When you book your cruise, make sure you get as long as you can in Juneau. It's gonna have the most stuff you need to see and want to do. So to me, it worked out. I was happy. We had all day long in Juneau. We got everything I wanted to do done that day. It was a ton of fun. So is it an old person cruise? That music is definitely, it's more our generation and above. Some of it was a little bit older than me. I'm not 50, I'm 43. So it was kind of more of the 50s and up music, but it was still good. And I would say it's a calmer, it is not a Caribbean type cruise going on. It's not bouncing music 24/7 and butts and thongs everywhere. It's you've got sweatpants on and people are falling asleep on the side of the boat as they are reading their book and looking out at the water. I loved it. We all loved it. All 4 of us are 50 years and younger, and we absolutely loved every bit of it. And I would love to take my kids on it because seeing Alaska is something that everyone really needs to do. So if you're even on the fence about it, this is a real honest review from somebody who is not a cruise person that goes, 24/7 or 4 cruises a year or is getting paid to promote a cruise. My favorite cruise so far, from Mexico to the Bahamas to Alaska, was definitely Alaska. Don't let it scare you thinking it's an old person cruise. It's not. So I'm going to be doing individual port reviews, and I will link those below if you want more information on the ports and the excursions and what we experienced there, and we'll also have different pictures with those. Thanks for watching. You guys have a great day.